A very good evening, everyone. This is a special evening brought to you by Doc BC, but Doc BC would not have done it without the generosity of the leaders that we have tonight. This evening, we are honored to have our own leaders that have led, that have gone through thick and thin, and they are generous tonight to share with us their experiences. So today we are going to have each and every speaker having their 10 minutes to tell us the summary. I wouldn't expect them to tell their life to be summarized in 10 minutes, no. But they're going to give us a bit of, I think these sessions, we are going to have more of them. And what I've heard people talking already, they said we need everyone, just give them 2 hours to come and back. So already, my leaders, you are invited already as individuals. So we'll plan that. So we are honored to have Chief Executive Officer of East London NHS Foundation Trust. Most of you already know her. It's Lorraine Sinduza, OB. Lorraine will tell us more. I don't want to spoil their biography, anything in there. As they are talking to us, they will be telling us more about themselves. And also my brother there, come a long way, Adam Mapani, amazing, MBE. I'm really honored to have you here. And then also Edwin, carrying a glove, amazing, amazing. We've got so many things that we need to do. I think we change the world. Thank you for being here. And Patrick, we have got so much what we want to do. I'm really excited to have you here. So we have got our leaders here that we have. Now, I don't know who wants to start. They will have to choose among themselves. So we are going to have one leader taking...
ladies first, ladies first, ladies first.
Okay, we'll start with men first, and then Lorraine will choose where she wants to fit in. She's the boss here.
I'll go last.
So, 100, we've hit 100, 103. Wonderful. You see, I said we will not start without 100. Now we are there. So good evening, everyone. Welcome. You have made it to get more than 100. We have just done it. So our speakers, there were something that they were going to reserve, and now they're going to tell us more because we have hit 100. Thank you so much. Okay, so my brother, so Adam, Patrick, Edwin, who's going to go first?
You can see Adam is unmuted, so he's probably poised to go for it.
No, no, the student
over to you, my brother.
The student will never be above his teachers, so I will ask you for my leaders to go first. Patrick.
Okay. No problem. No problem.
Okay, that's fine. I'm happy to kick off.
Okay, thank you, Patrick.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So, welcome to everyone who is on the call. Really appreciate the love and support. You know, to see so many people coming to hear some of our stories. I don't think that we are unique in any kind of way. I meet so many people every day who have the power, the authority, really to achieve whatever they want to achieve. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. So my name is Patrick. I was born in Mutare. I went to Hadsel High School. If there's anyone there from Hadsel, shout out to you guys. Had an amazing time there. I went to boarding school from a very young age, from primary school, and did my A-levels there. I came to the UK when I finished my A-levels. My mother was a nurse, and I remember, you know, growing up, seeing her working extremely hard as a nurse. I think she did 40 years as a nurse. When I came here, I had some interviews to go for mental health nursing. So I trained over Thames Valley University as it was at the time, in London. A new experience, really. You can imagine coming from Zimbabwe and being here, adjusting to the cultural differences, and not really having any aspirations of thinking, well, I might get to be an executive in the NHS. So I think that was very interesting time going through my training, and also experiencing some of the support or not so much support around development. It took me a while to even think about my career, my progression, only because by chance I bumped into a senior colleague who asked me the question, what are you thinking about your career? And it was that moment really that enabled me to really reflect on opportunities, and even starting to think about my own development. Just to, we only have 10 minutes, so I'll try and share then my journey from then on. So from there, I started to be a bit more proactive about thinking about my career. When I was working as a staff nurse, I had an amazing team that I was working with. I was a D grade, for those who remember those grades back in the day. I was a D grade, and I worked on an amazing ward. We used to share food, we used to meet socially, and it was like a family. And when I made a decision to leave, that was one of the most difficult things for me, because I thought I had everything that I needed. I had the support. I had all the pastoral care that we talk about. I had it all, but I just felt that something was missing. So when I left, some people actually discouraged me. Why are you leaving? But that was just the start of the momentum, where I realized actually I've got a lot more to offer. So I went on to work in the community. I left mental health. I worked in PCTs, primary care trusts, as they were back then. And I also had an opportunity to get onto national development programs. Some of you might remember the NHS Institute, and we had the Top Talent program. I was part of that, which accelerated my career, partly because I was exposed to a number of opportunities through that program, and also being able to reflect on my personal leadership, how I show up at work, how people experience me, what kind of leader I am, also being self-aware, or in terms of how I present myself, and also navigate some of the politics. So from then on, I went to work up in Liverpool. I worked in cardiothoracic, and you think, well, what's a mental health nurse doing in cardiothoracic? But that was me stretching myself. I saw that as investing in myself. It was really, really hard work. Getting up in the morning, it's 5 in the morning, tracking all the way to Liverpool. I had a very young family. I think my daughter was only 1 or 2 at the time. And, ever so grateful to my wife, who obviously had been stepping up and supporting the family while I was navigating those corridors of power and career, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with that, in terms of the sacrifices that you have to do in families to be able to do that. So I also then worked in Manchester and worked for NHS England at regional level. So why I'm sharing that with you is I had some feedback quite some time ago about building networks. I'm an introvert by nature. And so when people start talking about networking, I get goosebumps, because I'm thinking, I have to do networking. So I was never really good at that. So I had to put so much effort in thinking about how am I developing networks, and realizing actually developing networks is not about getting into a room and having a conversation. It's thinking about who's got your back, who are the people that you need to connect with. So the fact that I have worked in all those different systems, I have developed a really strong network of people that can support me. I also then had a privilege of leading the founding of the Jabali Men's Network that Edwin is one of the founding members, going all the way down to London with Ruth May as our sponsor. Adam is also a member of the Jabali Men's Network. Through some of that work, being able to see people thriving, we've supported a number of people to get into higher banded roles, but this was not just about people stepping up into senior roles. It was also about people owning their power, people being comfortable with who they are, people starting to see men like us in spaces and believing that we have the competencies and the capability to be able to lead organizations. So I feel very privileged to be here and to have achieved things that I didn't really have that path right at the start when I was that staff nurse, D grade. I think I have taken the opportunities that have come forward and really stepped up. These are really quite challenging roles. You need support around you. But I'm happy to go into some of that in terms of things like self-belief and what are some of the ingredients, things that you might need to tune into as you try and navigate your career. So I'm going to stop there because I'm sure Lorraine, Edwin, and Adam will be adding a lot more gems to that. Is that a good enough start to it?
Amazing, Patrick. Thank you so much. You kept to time, and you've got almost 2 minutes left, which is good. Just amazing. I got some nuggets here. Investing in yourself. It's very important. You've highlighted that we should be investing in ourselves. You've also told us about juggling with a young family. You also talked to us about networks, how to develop networks. Even if you are an introvert, it's also who has got your back. And also when you went to form Jabali Network, well done. Jabali Men, I've heard and know amazing work that you're doing there. It's actually, and I like what you said, people own their power, comfortable with being who they are, and self-belief. We shall unpack this into our panel questions, but at the moment, those are some of the nuggets that I got from you. Thank you very much, Patrick. Who is next?
I'm happy to go next and give the
Thank you.
student between us and Lorraine.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Over
No
to
problem
you.
at all, my brother. So good evening, everyone. So my name is Edwin Clover, and I'm currently Chief Operating Officer and Deputy Chief Exec at East London Foundation Trust. So following on from my brother Patrick, I would say, you know, my journey starts in Zimbabwe as well. It starts in a town called Masvingo, which I'm sure many of you, if you're from Zimbabwe, you know very well. I went to school, born and raised in Masvingo. My parents are still there. So if you ever hear that Edwin is in Zimbabwe, know that that's where I am. That's home for me. That's my place of strength. That's my place of redoubt. And that's where I would say I get my inner kind of humility and strength, because the community there raised me, born and bred, as I've said. I would say that, you know, in that space as well, that's where I learned humility. I learned perseverance. And I learned as well that success is shared. It's not a single person's achievement. So I have a lot to thank for that community. But then I came to the UK, and coming to the UK brought with it both dislocation, but also a lot of promise. I was fortunate enough to have, or I'm fortunate enough to have parents who perhaps are outward looking. So as some of you may know, I thought I would become an engineer before, and changed my mind, came to the UK and became a nurse. And it was on the back of them saying, look, things are looking great. Why don't you take some time out? We'll pay for a ticket. You've got an aunt in the UK, go spend some time there, see what the world has to offer. We see other children doing that as well. So you'd say that's the gap here if you are a British citizen. So I took it, but after coming here, my aunt, good advice, and I always say to my children, advice is there. Listen to it. You don't always have to take it, but listen to it. I'm grateful that I didn't only listen, but I took it on board, and this is where I am. So I've got a lot to thank my aunt for as well. So I came, and the promise, bit of the kind of relocating to the United Kingdom was one where once I got here, I saw the immediate opportunities. I never imagined I would be a nurse. Coming from a family where on my maternal side, they're mainly academics and some are medical doctors and engineers. And on my paternal side, many are in law enforcement, some are diplomats. I never imagined that I would become a nurse. I thought, well, I'll become an engineer, But, coming to the United Kingdom showed me that there were other opportunities that one can follow and one can actually enjoy doing, because I think that's another important bit. I really enjoy the work that I do. I enjoy being a mental health nurse. I enjoy working in the NHS, and I enjoy the people that I come into contact with, both as colleagues and the patients that we look after every day. And I think, coming as well also shone the light for me on the things that I had maybe, whilst I was in Zimbabwe, hadn't really fathomed. So when I talk about that, I'm meaning things like exclusion, the issue about race, the issue about gender. All of a sudden I'm being exposed to things that I never imagined existed on this earth, but here they were. So I've learned a lot. So that's the promise bit, I would say, my career in nursing started in 1997. I trained at City University. I was one of the last Project 2000. If people on the call who know Project 2000 know what it was about. I can see Patrick smiling and Lorraine. I guess we are from the same stable, but, it was an enjoyable time. And I have a lot to be grateful for those years, because I think some of my initial networks I have formed during those years. And then I started working in Hackney in East London, and it was East London Community Mental Health Trust. The world was very different then. Now you talk about NHS 10-year plan, you talk about foundation trust, you talk about so many things, but back in the day, you had Community Mental Health Trust. Things were very co-located, but they also reminded me strongly of how Zimbabwe's healthcare system was or should be, in terms of communities, in terms of places. And it's interesting that the NHS 10-year plan keeps referring to places again. When we grew up, many of us, I think, will recall, you knew your GP, you knew who was the district nurse in your territory. And if you were in the rural areas, you knew the district nurse had the bicycle and should come around. We've all got stories that when we reflect on and we read the 10-year plan, it resonates. So actually one can say, actually, there's strength in our presence in this system because of where we've come from. So make no mistake about that. I then kind of worked across all the services in East London, and I think I know my chief exec is here, the boss is here, but I can safely say I'm a unique ELFT employee, because I've literally worked in all the services that East London Foundation Trust provides. I worked in Hackney, I worked in secure mental health. I was then a barrel-lead nurse in Newham for many years. I moved to Tower Hamlets, where I was service director, before I got this privilege of being an executive director in ELFT, where I oversee service delivery across not just East London, but also Bedfordshire and Luton. And I work with some amazing colleagues. And indeed, I know today is the celebration for our MBEs, and I would say that actually it's not just my MBE, it's for my family, and more importantly, it's for my colleagues who I work with, because I don't think I would have achieved it without the colleagues that I work with in East London. I've also done postgraduate studies, but I've invested more in the leadership programs at the King's Fund. I've done a leadership center one, which I intentionally did because I wanted to experience what local authorities, leaders look at when they're looking at their own development. And then throughout that as well, I've always tried to reflect back on my own upbringing and what I reflect on as a community that raised me. So, you know, when Patrick reached out and said, look, I've got this idea, what do you think? It was a no-brainer. I was there from day one, Jabali, and it was inspired. And, you know, I keep reminding Patrick that, you know, you remember that it was just a few months before the pandemic struck. So by the time the pandemic struck, we were already a quite well-knit unit and we were already doing amazing things with May. And I remember even the vaccination program and, you know, our faces and kind of trying to really encourage our communities, the people who look like us, to step forward and protect themselves as communities was some of the things that we were already pushing for. But as Patrick said, we're not just there to kind of look at getting people into high-end jobs. We also recognize the importance our roles play in our families and in our wider communities, and we use that strength. And there's many of us. We are 3 Zimbabwean men here on Jabali, but I can assure you there are men from the Philippines, Nigeria, you name it, it's across nations. And I think that's what makes us powerful. And more importantly, that makes us reach into the wider communities. I've sacrificed, you know, Patrick touched a bit on that. Sacrifice, you know, has come. The days when I was working in East London, and I reflect even back to the COVID days, and we always talk about this with Lorraine when we were having to work weekends, you know, and we were leaving our kids at home, but you wouldn't know when you come back home, what are you bringing back into your household? So my kids, you know, I think quite recently, my youngest said to me, Dad, do you know this is the first time you've been off a full half term? 25 years into the NHS, my son was telling me this year. So you can imagine. So I don't know how we got through that, but I guess I've got my wife to thank for that as well, and my wider family who've supported me. But I've also made sure that I've got some solid friends, people I can rely on and people I can check things out with. I know Lorraine is my boss, but we've worked together for over 20 years, and you know, beyond work, and I respect that, but beyond work, I know she's someone I can also rely on for support and advice. And then I've got the wider kind of networks I've created through people like Patrick, who I now see as a brother from another mother. And it's interesting, as Zimbabweans, when you start to connect, I'm sorry for people who are not from Zimbabwe, but you know, it might not make sense. But for us Zimbabweans, you know how it is when you start to talk to someone, and all of a sudden you are connecting Tupo, your totem, you are connecting your rural homes, and all of a sudden you are creating a relationship where actually, you know, our kids will be saying, but why are you doing that? You're not related. But for us, that's important. So I see, you know, my brothers like Patrick as brothers from another mother, because we've actually got a lot more in common than we realize. And that's always my message in the workplace as well, that, you know, when you talk about equality, diversity, and inclusion, let's not focus on those big words, but let's focus on what those differences mean in terms of what we have in common with each other, because actually that's where our strength lies. And I guess, you know, I would also want to just say, for me, leadership is about stewardship, and I know we'll touch a bit more into that as we go through the evening, but I do want to just also put it out there that, you know, I see my role as I'm privileged to be where I am. I'm there to create space for others to grow. Titles fade, but trust doesn't. So within that space as well, I just want to emphasize that bit around trust, that I'm accessible. People can reach out to me. We can talk, but it has to be based on trust and honesty. And, you know, and and also reflecting back on my upbringing, that actually the elders are the ones who hold the quiet spaces. I'm not an elder, but I'm in a role that reflects being an elder. So I hold that quiet space, and I hope people find that when I'm giving them the quiet space, they also find strength through that. And yeah, I'm here to open doors, often doors that haven't been able to be opened for us, and carry our culture proudly and serve diligently as well. I'll stop there, Brighton.
Amazing, 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 Edwin. From Masvingo to East London, thank you so much. You have given us a lot of nuggets, and I like your ending. And I also like your emphasis on Ubuntu. We are because of others and the extended family, that we are related. Uh, and I like what you've said, that you are there to create space for others. And I can attest to that, having interacted with you. You are someone who is accessible. You're someone who has got an open door for others. And I just want to say thank you. And by being here, you're also walking the talk. And we are privileged to have you. We'll continue with more questions for you. But for now, we'll stop here. But I like that you said you are very unique. We've worked all around. We'll hear what your boss is going to say about that. Thank you so much, Edwin. Thank you so much. Over to Adam, my brother. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, my brother Brighton. And just also to acknowledge my leaders on the platform, Patrick, the founder of Jabali, alongside Edwin and my sister Lorraine, who I've met a few times virtually. I feel really privileged to be on a platform with such illustrious leaders, and I consider all leaders as mentors. So by similar definition, they've done far much greater stuff than I've done. So just acknowledge, and of course, you, Brighton, your illustrious work over many years. I remember we connected at some place, the chicken wing place, somewhere in Canterbury. Yeah, so we come a long way. So I'll try to shorten it 1933, and I'll crash this by 7:43 for the 10 minutes allocation. It's always very difficult to follow through the big shoes, especially when you have the two senior people going ahead of you, and then I'm sandwiched by the also chief executive right behind me. Yeah, so Adam Mapani, I am married, 3 girls. In fact, with the wife, 4 girls. So sometimes it does feel like a head boy at a girls' school. So when we're growing up, our next door neighbors had girls, and some of my chick brothers used to refer that homestead as a girls' school. um, uh, I'm from the BBC in Zimbabwe, which is the best beautiful count, which is Bohera. I cannot think of any other count other than Buhera. And my parents, who spent so much time working with missionaries, are strong Catholics. My dad is late. I just quote them because along my journey, I'll quote them as well. Because my dad, in particular, was, I think, extroverted. He coached me at an early age in terms of just the general coaching about life. And I'm also just happy with my other friends who are on the platform, family and friends. It takes a village to raise a child. So for all the village platforms that I've been to, thank you all for logging in. So for my journey, I talked about Bohera and my parents from a Catholic background. We visited again. And at some point, they were moved in their later years to Harare and Hatfield. And we had one of our eldest sister, who is a nurse who came here in the UK in 91. So she really sort of pioneered the UK journey for many of us and other generations that come before us. So from my journey, I've always thought of an early definition of success, which is impact. So for me, success is pretty much like impact. So I came here in the UK on the 31st of July, 98, and with Air Zimbabwe. And my first ever job, I was really privileged to have. I was a healthcare assistant. So my journey started as a healthcare assistant. For the first 6 months, I had brothers and sisters who were hand-holding me, showing me the bits and bobs around London in Elephant Castle, and then later on moved to East London for my journey, University, South Bank. I have always also thought about my journey, that leadership being about people. I always find that where there's an opening, if you can bring in someone very early, so that better, two are better than one in occupying space at the table. So those are the things that I also look at. So I joined ophthalmology then in 2003 at Moorfields Eye Hospital. Unlike my two other brothers who are more courageous, adventurous, and in fact, one of my leaders who remain nameless on this platform always encouraged me to come out of my comfort zone. But I've been at Moorfields for nearly 22 years. So you can imagine how comfortable it is. And I also want to just sort of highlight the inspiration to get into ophthalmology was partly because when I graduated, I brought my parents into the UK. I took them for an eye test. They've never been to the eye test. My dad used to love reading his Bible. And by visiting the eye optician, he did something quite different than what you would do alongside my mom. So I just thought, again, going back to that definition of success, impact, I said, let me join the ophthalmology world. I might put a smile on someone's face. So I joined Moorfields in 2003, did my ophthalmic nursing training. And in 2003, there were very few opportunities. So I joined a subspecialty in ophthalmology known as medical retina, to do with the back of the eye. Things like diabetes, blood pressure affect the back of the eye. So when I joined, there were very few colleagues in the department, limited opportunities, partly because of lack of treatment advances. But what I saw there was a good crisis that was too good to put to waste, because there weren't many advanced roles and many kind of like areas where you can break ground in terms of extended influence. So to cut the long story short, I then walked through the journey of extensive training from the years 2004. I always say those were years of investment. They come with the costs, and I would say it's also pushing the boundaries, doing things that you would not necessarily be comfortable to do. So for the years 2004 to 2007, I found myself going through extensive training, working extended hours, being a friend with the library. And I think that's when I connected with my brother Edwin, because I had an honorary contract in Tower Hamlets, and went through some opportunities around retinal screening. What I was also grateful for along the journey is mentors who could also believe in me. So there's something about, mentoring, and networking will come into it, because it's a very difficult area to challenge, especially at the early stage of your career. So I went through some training, but within that training, like I said, in this department was tiny, with 5 members of staff and 4 medical retina consultants. And there weren't that many opportunities. So it was us now, me, myself, leading on pioneering work on extended roles, advanced practice, setting up nurse-led clinics, such as diabetic retinopathy pathways, evening clinics based on evidence of some of our patients who were missing appointments. And I had also some great leaders within the managerial side who could also believe in me. And I also found myself also connected with a fellow brother who also joined the department. So in 2007, there were medicines that came on the ophthalmology market as a groundbreaking research, and there weren't any treatment for conditions such as macular degeneration, something to do with the back of the eye. So these injections, from what we know, they were site-saving, and people were waiting on the market, patients were waiting for 6 months because there were limited eye doctors to administer those treatments. So I led on it, going back again to Good Crisis, and we then pioneered nurse-delivered injections. So really breaking a new ground, new territory, devolving of roles from traditional doctor-led services into the nurse-led pathways. So this particular pathway became a springboard in my career because I was heavily involved with it in the support of my mentors, my coaches, and over the years, trained so many colleagues. And in fact, one in probably most of the eye clinic departments, they've come through this course. Take it again to a greater height with the support of colleagues internationally, nationally, and which has taken my career into sort of more than 15 to 20 countries of the world as part of speaking engagements. And notably, in some countries where we had to break a ground, like Australia, Saudi Arabia, and other places. And within that, what I also learned was, I think my colleagues from the ophthalmology world, was how then as a leader, when you do the pioneering work, and then you suddenly found yourself with a large number of followers. And I think this is where the challenge is for most of us, because when you go to the top, it can sometimes feels very lonely. So along the journey, I was quite privileged enough to then connect with people like Patrick, and who also were instrumental in my career through some NHS ambassadorial roles, the growing work in ophthalmology. I always felt that there was plenty of harvest in ophthalmology and fewer laborers. So training became a part of my role, leading transformation at a scale, inspiring others, and also advocating for those who might not have reached out. So one area that I then found also along the journey is ambassadorial roles, where we could link eye care, Moorfields Eye Hospital, into communities, not just here in the UK, but also internationally, like Zimbabwe. I tend to get a lot of these inquiries on eye care, second opinion, and having to put that structure into some of the specialist colleagues. So that's pretty much like my journey and how it evolved over the years. And the last thing that I would say, leadership being about people and also trust. I think for me, I would put people, I would also put trust, because I've been very privileged enough that for those who believed in me to lead, and those who came across as mentors, they invested heavily in trust. And also the people that I lead, or the people that have had extended influence outside the ophthalmology world, within the ophthalmology world, has been truly inspirational. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adam. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I remember when you told me that Brighton, this training for leadership, come and join. And then I joined, which was being run by Bishop McCandler, and I'm great for that, and I'm still mentored by him. So I'm just talking about your passion about leadership, your passion about inspiring others, your passion. I like your humility. That's you like comfort zone, but I don't see it that way because of what you've done. Your impact is international. You are impacting, and also you've started, you've pioneered nurse-led clinics in that area. You are now a consultant in your area. So this is, you are a visionary when I see it to you, when I look at you. You are a pioneer. You are someone who is innovative. And I like what you said, you invest yourself. You worked very hard. So the message I'm hearing here is that it's not easy. We just see you there with your MB. We see you consultant. We think it just happened overnight. But what I'm hearing is 22 years of at Moorfield, breaking these boundaries, investing extensively in your training. And I like what you said, success, it's not about getting the MBE, success, it's impact. What are we benefiting from you? A lot. We can continue and continue because of time. I will stop here and thank you very much, Adam. Now, we are honored here. We've saved the best for the last. I can see Lorraine. I said, Bratton, what are you saying? Yes. So it's a privilege and honor to call upon Lorraine Senduza, the CEO. I would say our boss here tonight. Over to you, Lorraine.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I feel really privileged actually being asked to come here, with such illustrious colleagues. And it was a good idea at the time to go last, but it's really hard to follow my brothers there, but I'll try and do my best because for me, I represent a possibility, and I think it's well within my duty to make sure that I'm sharing as much as possible. Others have helped me, so I've got a duty to also support people with the realities of my life. So I was born at Edith Opperman Clinic. Those of you who know, it's in Bari. On the 22nd of March, we won't mention the year, but you might be able to work it out as well. And fortunately, my parents are still around. Born to a family of 5 girls and 1 boy. Sadly, my sister passed, the oldest passed. So in terms of my schooling, I initially went to Sunningdale Primary School. So my accent was very much Sunningdale-esque for the first 2 years. And then I went to David Livingstone because we moved to Eastleigh, where my parents still are, which is, I think, over 40 years ago. So I did finished my primary school there. Then I went to Roosevelt for my O-levels. And then I went to Joy City, also known as Vinona, for my A-levels. I had various things that I wanted to do. One of them being a graphic designer. I'd done art as part of my A-levels. I actually got a place at the Polytech, but then my sister had already come to England and she says, oh, come over, like Edwin, potential gap here, think about what you want to do, the world's your oyster. Is there opportunities in London? When I came to London, I also lived near Elephant and Castle on the Old Kent Road. And I did information technology for a year. So I had some certificate in relation to that. It really wasn't for me. When you're just surviving in the course, but it really didn't suit me or my character, but I still did it. And then I was advised about mental health nursing because I went through, oh, could I be a psychologist? Could I be this? I was never sort of thinking about that. I don't know why I didn't even consider sort of following the graphic design route. So I decided to do nursing, and because I did like to party a bit, and my best friend and I had moved around the same time, Sharon, and I thought if I stay in London and some of us have to do placements and assignments, but other people are partying, no. So I decided I was going to go outside London. So I went and did my nurse training at Leicester de Montfort University. But I was very clear I wanted to come back to London. So when I finished the course, I started applying in London. I wanted to work in South London and Maudsley because it had quite a reputation. I applied and I didn't get the first job. I really felt down about it, and there was a moment of feeling, will I ever get one? Everybody else had got on their first interview. I was very nervous. It's that thing about when you really want something. But opportunistically, a role came in West London and I got it. And actually, I'm really grateful that I got it because I worked for the fantastic team. Like Patrick, it was the days of D&E, and people usually worked as a D grade for 3 months and then went on to become an E. I loved the ward so much, I refused to move just for promotion. So I was actually a D grade for about 9 months as well, which to me, again, is there's no correlation in relation to how fast you move at the beginning of your career to where you end up. My manager then left to come to East London because there were many jobs that were coming up, but in the forensic services. I was in male acute mental health, by the way. And I thought forensic, what do I know about forensic? And I thought I'm young. I didn't have any sort of ties at that time. So I could move from West London to East London and see how it goes. If I liked it, yeah, I would stay. If I didn't, I would look for something. That's when, there were so many jobs. So I moved to East London, and that was 23 years ago. So I've worked in the same trust for 23 years, starting on the wards and then ultimately become the chief executive. But through that, there were other roles as well, from, ward manager to lead nurse to head of nursing within the forensic services. Then came to a time I thought I needed to do something different, considered a sideways move. I was very much encouraged to think about the director of nursing for our London mental health services, went for it and I got it. And actually that was the first time actually I started to realize actually the impact that people like us, when we get those roles, has on people, because there was very little people who looked like me who were in the roles as well. I had done some leadership training as well, and that was quite impactful for me because it was the first time learning about myself, how I work and how I interact, and thinking rather than some academic speciality, it was about leadership and how to be on the receiving end of me and some of the areas that I feel I needed to develop. So being director of nursing, I love that job as well. Greater influence in the leadership of the trust, supported our then chief nurse, preparing for CQC and all of that. And that's when we then got our first outstanding in the trust. He then left after a couple of years, and I was encouraged, and I went for the chief nurse role, which again, I loved. But there were some tough moments with that, particularly COVID. Being chief nurse was really tough at that time because you're absolutely responsible for so much, particularly at the beginning when we didn't know what we were facing. And you're almost expecting people to trust you and come with you for something that you're not absolutely sure about as well. But within that, I also got some stretch. So I was asked to be on the London People Board as well. As part of sort of COVID response, I worked with the London Mayor, did webinars with faith leaders about vaccine safety, what does it mean as well, and supported Ugandan Nursing Association, Malawi Nursing Association, and obviously our own Zimbabwean one as well. So that gave me some stretch. And actually there's something about you being a trusted voice, but how you also use that absolutely responsibly. I then became deputy chief executive as well for the trust, which stretched me even more and gave me some more authority in relation to trust-wide decisions as well, and support. And luckily for me, throughout my career, I've had really good mentors and really good coaches who really help, and are not afraid to tell me the truth, but also to steer me in the right direction. And then working when I've known Patrick for years, and obviously Edwin, who I have literally grown up with Edwin and the organization as well. So being someone who I really trust, whose opinion and I know would always be honest with me as well. And then the CEO role came as well, which, some of these things can be pretty overwhelming because the responsibility is huge. It's lovely having these positions and you're privileged and you do so much, but you carry a lot on your shoulders. So I remember when I got the interim post initially, sometimes I do pinch myself like, really? Is it me? Because I couldn't imagine that from the time when I was on the wards, and then finally got the substantive post. And then it continued obviously with the OBE because it's all a secret and I didn't know. And when I got the letter, that floored me. I'd just come back from Zimbabwe, and to see a brown letter, I thought that was a tax man. So I rolled my eyes thinking, what do they want now? Opened it and I saw it, and you can't tell anyone. So it was something that I had to hold. But the privilege of going into Windsor Castle and getting that with my mother and my father all the way from Zimbabwe and my daughter there with me is something that will always stay with me as well. And yeah, I'm eternally grateful. I love my job. I absolutely love what I do. There's some moments when it can be really stressful, but I'm not alone with it as well. But it's an absolute privilege to be able to be pivotal in decisions about how we help communities as well. And I think like with my fellow colleagues, there are many times we go into rooms and there are very many people who do not look like us. And that can be daunting and overwhelming, but I always think about my upbringing, what my parents taught me. I've got fantastic siblings, my 3 sisters and my brother, who are very supportive as well. But also, I think when I walk into the room, I walk with my ancestors and those behind me. My parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents could never have imagined that any of their descendants, I think, will be in this position in this country as well. So it's a moment that I will not take lightly as well. But the more people we see who are like us, who have the experience, because it's not just also about, we're not just owed to be there. There's something about what you bring as well and how you contribute, but it gives the diversity of thought, the diversity of what our own experiences as well. So yeah, I think I'll stop there because I could speak forever.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I think all of us who are in the health and social sector, we know how it is challenging to get inadequate. It requires improvement. And then you get to good. And then when you are said you are outstanding, well done, Lauren, with your team for such an achievement. And you said something that your upbringing has taught you to go into the rooms with a presence, going into these rooms knowing that you are bringing something, going to these rooms that you know you can contribute. So something that I'm learning, something that I'm taking from this conversation, that I'm hearing also leadership is being mentioned, self-development, investing in yourself. You said you learned about yourself, and then reflecting on how people are receiving you. It's very interesting how you ask yourself how people are receiving me as Lorraine, and then you start working on that. We have got our blind spots, but when we reflect and look at that, it's amazing. Thank you so much. So you were at Animal in something, Elephant and Castle. Amazing. And then when I was looking at Sunningdale, Eastleigh, and then you were going up, Roosevelt, Vinona. No, well, what more, which schools would you want upbringing? So when you say, when you walk into a room, and I'm happy with that because you are proud of yourself, and I would not be surprised because when I look at where you've been, Roosevelt, Vinona, and all that, it just tells us that, well, for those who know Zimbabwe would know that, okay, if you have been to these schools, we are not worried about you. But no, you've done us proud. Thank you so much. So we are moving on to the exciting part, which okay, so we have come to this panel discussion. We've composed up only 7 questions. So I'll be asking you, so looking back, what advice would you give your young self at the start of your UK journey? So I'm gonna go to Edwin.
Thanks. I thought you were going to go for the student. Anyway, Adam, you get off lightly here. But thank you for the question. So I think, what would I say to my younger self? The first thing I think I like to do things in 3. So 3 things. So the first thing I would say is that advice is there. Listen to it. You don't have to always take it, but at least listen to it because you never know what it brings you. Number 2, your difference is your strength. I know it sounds quite academic, but actually it's a very important aspect. And I think listening to Lorraine, to Patrick and Adam, the one thing that sets us apart is I think we're all very different. And I think we need to recognize that. And the one thing that, we do need to really be saying to our younger people, to our younger generations, is that your difference is your strength. Focus on it and make it work for you. And then I think I would say the last thing is that, there are those who have already gone before you. Learn from them, which kind of touches on maybe the first point I made. But I think there's also, besides advice, there's also someone intentionally going out to just try and do your own research, find out for yourself, how others have navigated these worlds that we are experiencing and we are living in at the moment. And I think, you'll be on a very clear path. That's what I would say to my younger self, those three things.
Thank you very much, Edwin. There's advice there. Listen to it. It's amazing. We perish not because there's lack of information. No, but we ignore the information. Thank you very much for that reminder. Our differences, the difference that is a strength. We need to focus. Our uniqueness will bring something to the table, as already been said by Lorraine. Thank you very much, Edwin, for that. And then I think we can learn from others. We can learn from each other. If we are humble, if we got humility, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. We have got CEOs already here. So we can just approach them. We've got MBEs here. We can approach them. So why would you want to reinvent the wheel? Thank you very much, Edwin. Over to you, Adam. What would you say to your young self? You're on mute.
Younger myself, I would say don't always just play it safe forever. What I mean by that is I gave the narrative that I've been in ophthalmology for 22 years, and I think I know the building of Moorfields Eye Hospital inside out, including probably every little corner. But I guess is almost like now thinking about along the journey, if by any chance, like what Patrick was sharing his story about, going through different specialties, different settings, that perhaps draws on the strength of taking risk as a leader, where you can gain and gather more strength in going through different areas. I would also say another thing that I would say really is leaning towards the strength of networking and mentoring. I've had the opportunity to have received good mentorship from great leaders. Some of them are here. Professor Tendai, for example, we have gone before us. And in that is always look out, always reach out. And the pioneering work for some of the great leaders we have seen here, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And that space is covered. And then the last thing, of course, is in terms of kind of like sort of looking at the wider sort of picture and opportunities. If you don't get invited to the table, it's allowed to invite yourself, right? We talk a lot of times that be represented on the table, but there are occasions actually where you just need to pitch on the table, and by get crushing, be very bold enough. I know it's not easy, but I've also been in such situations where I have self-invited myself to some wedding parties in terms of opportunities, and I got what I want, which also impacted on others.
Thank you very much, Adam, for that. You excited me because I wanted to say a lot, but I have to shut up now. Zip, zip, zip. But I love that this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. If you have got your light and you put it under the bed or you cover it, no one is going to see it. So you have to invite yourself, expose yourself. I love that. Thank you very much, Adam. We go on to Lorraine.
Oh, that's a tricky question. So for me, actually, I think the earlier bit of my career, particularly when I was starting to, there's something about not only am I Black, I'm also a woman. So
Yes.
sometimes there's some challenges that we face that really tricky as well. So I think for me, it probably would be something about reaching out to other women as well for support, although I've got great allyship and, Edwin navigates that really well as well. So I think sometimes I sort of kept it to myself a bit. I'm an introvert like Patrick. I'm actually quite a private person as well. So I probably held on to things a bit longer, that I could have gotten some ways of navigating from women like me who'd gone through that as well. I've since corrected that as well, but I think I probably should have had that earlier, particularly as well, having a young child and all of that. That was a bit tricky. And the second thing I would say is also believe in your instincts. Sometimes if things don't feel right, although you can't pinpoint it, there's something that's telling you they're not right, explore that. Also, if things feel right, also explore that. So there's something about trusting your own self as well, not just going with the flow and pausing. Not everything in life needs an immediate decision, to be honest with you. Very few things are that urgent. So there's something about that, which may mean checking it out with others and seeing how others have raised it. But if they've got a niggling feeling, you need to address that. And on the whole, when I've trusted my instinct, I've not been disappointed. So I think it was that believe in yourself a bit and believe in your niggles, even if more senior or more seasoned people don't necessarily see that way. You've got a uniqueness, so there may be something that they could all benefit from as well. So yeah.
No, thank you so much, Lorraine. You are unique in the sense that there will be some things that are sort of negative on your part. If you take them, there could be excuse, and then you don't do much. To say, oh, I'm a woman, or I'm black, or I'm an introvert. But you have broken all those barriers to where you are as a CEO. So whoever is on this platform, yes, you're a black person. Yes, you're a woman. Yes, you're an introvert. But the message is you can be a CEO. We are talking to one here. And also believe in your instinct, trust yourself. Those are some of the nuggets we are hearing. Patrick, over to you.
Thanks. I can see you've got 7 questions there, so I'll try and be very brief. So I think for me, the key thing is we often talk about nothing grows in a comfort zone. And I meet so many people that are comfortable. And I think for me, if I was advising myself, it would have been, what's the burning platform? Don't be driven by external factors. What's your drive? Create that for yourself, and you don't have to share that with anyone. But you start to drive your own agenda, setting goals for yourself. What do I want to achieve in 5 years? I didn't have that. And so when I shared about when I was a D grade and I was just having a great time, that was me being very comfortable, and it took a lot of courage to create that burning platform that no one else could actually align with, because they were thinking, well, why is he leaving? But I understood my assignment. I understood the goals that I'd set for myself. Some of those were 5-10 year goals. Some I did achieve. But there's that inner celebration that you have when you know you've achieved something that you were driving personally, and that had nothing to do with external factors.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. They say to grow yourself, you must know yourself. What is your drive? It's very important, it's very powerful, because sometimes we are like leaves, just follow wind. They're doing this, you go there. They're doing this, you go there. They're doing that, you go there. And then you just get confused. You need to know yourself. What's your passion? What are you good at? What do you want to be? If you know that, thank you very much, Patrick. It's very important. So, Lorraine, we're going to the second question. If you could change one decision or moment in your past, what would it be and why?
I think I'll keep that brief. I don't think I have anything in particular in relation to that. And why I say that is because even the decisions that I've made that didn't pan out how I've wanted, I've learned something from it. And there's something about the way things put you then on a different path as well. I'll probably say in terms of maybe how I may have reacted in certain situations. I was a bit more fiery when I was younger. I'm a more mature woman now. I'm a bit more calm about things and I take my time. But I can't, to be honest with you, I can't really think. So even if I think about, I did that information technology course, actually, I should have confessed it's because when I went for my nurse training, they said, yeah, we think you're good, but we think you've got a romantic view of mental health. So we think you need to go away and mature a little bit. So I needed something to do. And although I didn't necessarily use it, I met some really good people. I learned a lot of things. So I don't regret it. And it then put me on the 9709 course where I met really great people who are still my friends now, in the same way as when I joined. So all the things that I've done, even at that time, when I thought, why did I make that decision? It's panned out later. So apologies for that. I don't have a specific thing that I actually regret. Maybe a couple of relationships when I was younger, but we're not talking about that today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. I think I love the message that I got. It's so powerful to say whatever you went through, you were like iron. You were like going through the blast furnace. You were being purified. You are proud of whatever has happened because it has shaped who you are. And that's really powerful from what I'm hearing from you. We go to Adam.
Yeah, that's a very interesting one. So, I think there's always many reflections, but to just keep it short, I think during lockdown, I think Bridget and I, we developed some similar interests. One of such was in the area of leadership. So after I left that leadership discussion with you, I got a scholarship to enroll for an executive MBA at Warwick Business School in London, and I completed that. So this was more of a sacrifice, 2 evenings for 2 years, Tuesday night and Wednesday night. And I know Patrick had different thoughts about it. But I suppose I had an entry strategy as to why I wanted to do it with an excitement. But as an exit strategy, what exactly did I want to come out differently? So I think that bit was a little bit blurred. I got interconnected with a slightly different network out of my comfort zone. And something I think about the decision to invest so heavily in such a 2-year commitment, and possibly, I suppose, is what would you want to do differently when you come out through that extensive training? Thank you.
No, that's really powerful. We can acquire all these skills, but the question is, so what? Now what? What is your end game? It's very important to get that. Thanks so much, Adam, for that. Patrick,
Yeah,
you are smiling.
I am because I told Adam to stop accumulating qualifications. So
I think I'm also guilty.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I think for me there were certain roles that I didn't go for because I doubted myself. I was questioning my confidence. And the lesson from that was really thinking through how you're preparing yourself to grab the opportunities, because sometimes you don't know when opportunities come, and how do you know that you're ready for that? So I was doubting myself because I wasn't ready, I wasn't prepared. So I remember way back when, where you would just see what's on NHS jobs and you're not proactive about how are you preparing for an opportunity that might come up. So that's the learning from me. So it's not so much about what I would change, but what's the learning from that.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for that. I think it does happen. I even raise my hand that we disqualify ourselves. We don't even apply for that job. We don't even go for that interview. We don't even put ourselves forward because we have already told ourselves that this is not me. I don't qualify, whatever, everything. So the doubt that we have in ourselves, if we can only challenge it. It will help us. Thank you very much for that powerful lesson. Edwin.
Yeah, so I think for me, it's a really intriguing question, because the first thing I would say is that, a decision can change. Learn to live with that. You might make a wrong decision. Learn to live with the fact that you can make a mistake and redress that. The second thing for me within that is that always be prepared, right? We are in a certain situation at the moment where every other young person I meet wants to be like me, but they've not yet fully understood the journey Edwin has been on to get to where I am. People are being D grades, or not D grades don't exist, it's band fives for less than 6 months, and they move on. And I think it's really important to always make sure you master your craft. It's the same in my world at the moment, making sure that I master the role of being an executive director and what it brings. It's really important. So those would be my two things. Firstly, accept that sometimes a decision today, or the right decision today, is not the right decision tomorrow. And if you've got aspirations, don't wait for tomorrow. You start preparing now. And some of it is making sure that you really immerse yourself in your craft, learn, have the experience before you step into the next big role.
Amazing, amazing. I think it is a challenge for many of us to be accountable, to be responsible for any actions or inactions. So sometimes we make those decisions. We say that it was Lorraine who forced me. It was Patrick who did this. It was Adam. We always want to point fingers at other people, but the most important person to be pointed at is yourself. If you learn to own your part of the mess, if you learn to own your part of the what you've contributed into something that has happened, then you become a strong person. Thank you so very much for that important nuggets. Now, I was hearing everyone was talking about leadership, and I was amazed. You leaders, you have had leadership. So I just want to find out, what is the single lesson that has shaped your leadership? And I was hearing a lot of things that I heard, which I'm excited about. So we start with Lorraine. What is your single most that has shaped your leadership?
I think for me, authenticity. So there's something about the Lorraine that you're seeing now on this call is very much the Lorraine that my family and my friends and other people experience. Obviously, you tailor your language, giving due respect to where you are at, as well. So won't, use slang and all those things necessarily in a formal meeting. But I very much want my leadership to be who I am as well. And I am, so proud of who I am, proud of where I come from. So I've got locks, I wrap my hair as well. I've never want to contort myself to fit a method. And I think there's something about that. And then with that, what you'll find is all of us on this call, we're very unique. And so I bring my uniqueness and my perspective and my experience and my expertise wherever I go as well. But authenticity is absolutely key, because you need to be comfortable in the role that you're in. So when I don't know, I don't know. And I am not shy to say, I don't know this, and I'm having to learn, because I do not know everything as well. But also it means I'll rely on other people in terms of the leadership that we provide. You're not an island within that, but I would say authenticity is key.
What a masterclass you've given us, Lorraine, there. Authenticity. Leadership is who you are, because leading or faking is so exhausting. It's so challenging when you are trying to keep up appearance or you're faking it. And I love what you've said, proud of what you are and proud of what you bring to the table. And that humility that you've just said, the icing on the cake. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. That's very important for us to learn. Thank you very much, Lorraine, on that. Okay, we go to Edwin.
So if we can maybe from here on, because maybe this might help us. So if we can just agree that actually I will say things I'll be building on what Lorraine has said, and I think people can take away what we have said because I can't beat that. But I think on top of that, the one thing I've learned is that in a crisis, being calm and being compassionate outlives any policy that you've got. That's one of the biggest lessons I've learned. People look at the office I occupy and the role I've got, and they think that I run things. I don't. I do it through so many other brilliant colleagues. And those colleagues, when they're facing a crisis, what they want from me is me being calm and being compassionate so that they can do what they need to do. So I would say, building on what Lorraine has said, in crisis or in any kind of situation, actually, being calm and being compassionate to the people you work with absolutely gets the impact home.
No, Edwin, I would say you are what we call compassion personified. You are that person. The way you talk, the way you relate, the way you interact with all of us, you carry that. And it's very important. And you're teaching us that in a crisis, some of us will lose it. Some of us want to show them, to give it to them. But being calm, being humble, it calms a lot of things. And the one thing that you have just said, which shows your humility, which shows your leadership, is you do things with a team. You don't. It's not about Edwin. It's not you, but it's the team. Thank you very much for those nuggets. I hope. Are we learning here, ladies and gentlemen? Are we learning? I want us in the comment section. If we are not learning, then I'll tell my leaders to up the game. Are we learning anything? Are we learning anything? Amazing.
Yes.
Too much,
Lots
too
of
much.
learning. Yes, we are learning. Absolutely. Okay. So this is a masterclass. If you are not learning something, if you are not learning, these are things that you would go to Lorraine to be coached, and she charges 1,000 an hour. Okay. Yeah. So I'm telling you. So you are getting this here, but if you want to see her outside privately, just bring your £1,000 for that hour with Lorraine. Okay. So let's go to Patrick.
Okay, so building on what Lorraine and Edwin have said. Yeah, so I'm taking the lead from Edwin. So I'm going to cheat and say two things rather than one. So the first thing I'll say is be intentional. And what that means is nothing happens by accident. So the way you carry yourself, your behavior, you've got to be in tune with that, because there are some things that we influence because we're not present. We're not really thinking about how we're showing up. So being intentional is important. The second thing I will share is feedback is a gift. Listen to it. There's so many people who get feedback and just don't pay attention to it. That's all I can say.
Amazing, amazing. Oh, you're giving us the nuggets. Feedback is a gift. Take it, invite it, accept it, act upon it. Don't shoot the messenger. Learn from it. Thank you so much. And I think one thing that I'm also learning, you don't become a CEO by accident. You don't get an MBE by accident. They don't do Vega. They don't do Vega. It doesn't happen on its own or accidentally. It has to be intentional. What is it that you want to do? Begin with the end in mind. Start your journey wherever you are. The way you behave, is it taking you to that destination? The way you're carrying yourself, is it getting you to that destination? We have seen in life that some of the things that we have done, getting arrested, getting this, whatever, it end up now limiting on where you can go. So just make sure that what is that you are going. Thank you very much, Patrick, for that. It's very important that we reflect on those things. Be intentional. I love that. Adam.
Thank you. So building on what Lorraine, Edwin, Patrick, and also what Brighton you've touched about, I would also come in on trust as a huge investment in leadership. I think what I also mean by that is, in reflecting for my own journey and what I've seen over the decade, over the last 2 decades, there's something that builds around trust. So either in the context of followers, those mentors, those that I've reached out to. And I'll give an example. At some point, I was getting an average of 3 to 4 emails a day, and those inquiries tend to be the same. It's very admin taxing without PA support. But I've even spoken to one of my leaders. They said, actually, this is something around trust. And what you could invest is to see how you can cope with time. So people bring different problems, but also learning from what is being put your way. And I think I would also say leaders are not born, in my own opinion. And along the journey, these are things that you could also learn. And in the whole sort of context around leadership, there are leadership traits, from a junior novice to an expert that you acquire along the journey, which can also shape and help you to develop. Patrick was talking about introvert. In my sort of journey, I looked pretty much like looking down at the beginning, and halfway through, with these things gaining strength, I started looking up. And with that in mind, I suppose, it's learning and from others, reaching out, and also reflecting on my journey. Authenticity, which I'm also going to kind of like plagiarize from what the great leaders have said. So this is now plagiarism. I think being authentic, true to yourself really matters. We work in very pressured environments. If you're not true to yourself, you would not do yourself justice, because sooner or later it will come out. So I think be a leader who is true, who is authentic, who is consistent. It puts the message across.
Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much for that authenticity. Leaders are not only born, you can learn, you can be mentored, you can be coached. Thank you very much. But one thing that you've just nailed it, I'm loving it, is trust. It comes on a tortoise, but it lives on a horse. So many things that have actually let us down is that we have become untrustworthy. Let us make sure that we are trustworthy. Trust will get us a lot, will get us somewhere. Thank you so much. Patrick, what keeps you motivated? We see you going. We see you all over there. Well, what is keeping you going? What is motivating you?
Well, so I think what keeps me going is what I call my stability zones. So stability zones are places where I get my energy from. So my family, my friends, and also my vegetable garden. So when we finish here, I'm going to water my vegetable garden. I'm growing lettuce, cucumbers, all sorts of things. Because sometimes when you have a sense of purpose and you're doing something else where you think about, so why am I here? We're not just here to do jobs. We're here to fulfill our lives in a holistic way. So for me, when the chips are down and things are really difficult, I really focus on my stability zones, and that's where I get my energy from. And also, there's a concept of what's called grabbing the good. There's so many comments, positive comments that we receive, and I know what it's like. It's hard to hear positive feedback. Well, it's hard for me anyway. You tend to go for the negative and say, oh, this person has said this about me, but I always try and grab the good. So I currently have a poster that was done by my colleagues. Edwin will know about this because we're doing a similar program together where they've written positive things. I've saved it that on a really, really bad day, that's the day that I'm going to open it and read all those positive comments that people have left for me, because that again helps me to keep motivated.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Stability zones. I love that one. The family, the friends, and the food yet to come in. Vegetables, watering. Wonderful, wonderful. Sense of purpose. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? But I love that part, the last part where you talk about grabbing the good. I think sometimes we don't accept appreciation as a gift. If you are appreciated, you start to reciprocate. Lorraine, you are much better. You've got that. But it's Lorraine appreciating you. Can you just say thank you and then stop? You start now giving back to the person who is appreciating you. We do that a lot. So I love that part of what you are saying, that we need to, if we are being appreciated, like tonight, we are appreciating you. It's your moment. Absorb it. Don't give it to us. We don't want appreciation, reciprocation. No. We are honoring you tonight. Okay, so let's go to Edwin. What keeps you going? What keeps you calm, chilled?
Oh, wow. I always get asked that question. And actually, it's interesting because some people actually get a bit irritated. Why are you so calm when things are like that? I don't know. Sometimes it's just perhaps how I was brought up. So I think for me is, I always try and remember who I serve. Who am I here for? And it's people, not systems. I think of my faith, I think of my family, I think of my colleagues, and I think of my wider communities. And that keeps me grounded. I think it's important to recognize, and certainly it is for me, that, my resilience gets drawn from different places, and those are the places I draw it from. So I always remind myself I'm here to serve people, not systems. And I think in these current times, our jobs as executive directors, one could say, are probably some of the most difficult. In fact, sometimes I ask myself, was this the right time to become a chief operating officer in the NHS with all that's going on? But actually, when I look around and I see Lorraine walking past my office, I'm reminded, if not now, then when? And if not us, then who would it be? And then when I come home and I see my family and, I get calls, for those of you from Zimbabwe, the word sekuru, I know what you would say, for me, I hold it in great, great value. Because my dad is 86, he's a bit elderly now. So a lot of things is passed on to me. So all of a sudden, I'm entrusted with some of the kind of juicy family stories to help people navigate life and all that. And I find it refreshing, because sometimes it's got no pound signs against it. It's got no people's lives against it. So I find solace and resilience from that as well. So I would say that's me. I find my strength in people, not systems, when things are difficult.
Now, the question is, who are the leaders who we need to be leading at this moment, where there's the VUCA? Who are the leaders? If you're not you, Edwin, who is them? If
Absolutely.
not now, when?
Yes.
You've answered it yourself. Well done. Thank you. Not systems, but the people. Amazing. Those are the nuggets that I'm getting. I hope everyone is learning. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Last but not least, Lorraine.
Thank you. So I'm very similar to Edwin, actually. For me, it's about what am I here for? And our role is to serve. And no matter how far you are in a leadership position, you have to still be connected to the people that you're leading and the people whose lives are literally in your hands. So particularly in our trust, and me within all my roles, I've always been really connected to the patients and to the communities that we serve, and really have my ear close to them. So when it does get hard, and it's hard for me in an office, in a decision through a paper, but it's literally hard for them in their lives day to day navigating as well. So that's where I draw my strength. And there's also the people turning up day in, day out on night shifts at weekends in the trust as well, working really hard. People will give the recognition to me personally, but it's actually them and their work, but also their fellowship and their trust in me to lead them that work. So I always go to that and looking for those nuggets of the brilliance, the things that we all do. No trust has just got really just challenging areas. There's so many things that we all have to celebrate. So you need to intentionally celebrate and recognize. Outside, my daughter is the center of my universe, and that young lady makes me so proud. And music, we love music in my family. So anything to do with dancing, anything to do with music and just hearing music, there's something that it does for me. Whether it's a war cry before you go into something challenging or a relaxing event afterwards, there's always music around me. And with my daughter having chosen music, it's even amplified it even more. There's a way you can communicate without words just by the beat of music. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing. Connected to your work, the people that work around you. One amazing thing that people are not following you because they are afraid of you. They are following you of who you are. So it shows that your leadership. And also you do have other activities. Your daughter, music, dancing. And we're going to kindly ask you to give us the last dance. Okay, Adam, I haven't forgotten you. You think you might be escaping. No, 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 my brother. Adam.
Yeah, so building up on what as you've said, I think what keeps me motivated is a combination of factors, knowing that I've got family, and also I place some of my values in the faith that I hold very close to, and what that means to me and my family and the people that I serve. I also view leadership as a service, being of great service to the community, to the society, to patients, their families. From my earlier definition that I stated of success and impact, I think one area that really keeps me motivated when you sort of feel that there's been an impact in these little stories. So, for example, at Moorfields with this lovely cleaner of a particular background, I think Ghanaian, sort of encouraging each other in the changing room, went to do nursing, and he joined Edwin and Lorraine now as a band five. And quite recently we met somewhere near Moorfields. And of course, being proud of Lorraine and Edwin, those were the two people that I mentioned. So it's those little stories. And taking that aside, I also look at outcomes from patients that we serve. I was reminded by a colleague when we're coming from Salt Lake City that, with this injection training, if you actually measure the impact, is it on site restoration? So all those little stories, they keep me motivated. It might not be necessarily rewarding, but it's the impact, the how many. And just lastly, as an example as well, I was running, I love running. And Patrick and I, we had a joint trip last year and we did a few walks together. What I often find being an early person when I go for these long runs or long walks, sort of time alone and listen to music, I often find in some forest in Kent, it's sort of kind of like gives me the inspiration, the reflections. But at one point, I met a person that I could not remember in the middle of nowhere. And she stopped me and said, look, in 2004, you had helped with this particular area when I was training to do ophthalmic nursing. But honestly, I could not remember. So those little stories is something that keeps me going.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Leadership is about serving and the impact you are and the difference you are making in people. And also, you cannot give what you don't have. You also make yourself um, energize, running, walking, and all this. Amazing, amazing. So I'm conscious of time. Now we are moving. I've heard BBC, I've heard Masvingo, I've heard Vinona. So we just want to find out what has your Zimbabwean heritage influenced the way you lead, the way you serve? I'm going to start with Edwin.
Yeah, so I guess I've already hinted to people where I think I find my strength from, and I think, that deep sense of what my upbringing has taught me is the influence I bring from Zimbabwe. I think humility, I think respect for elders, I think listening before leading, and I think being rooted in a community, because success is not an individual. It's not a solitary achievement. It's for the people around you. And that is what having been born and raised in Masvingo has taught me. And I think, the bit I would emphasize there, though, is the bit around listening before leading. And I've already mentioned before around even advice, it's there. Listen first. You might not take it, but at least you have the respect to listen. It might change things for you in a very powerful and positive way. That's one lesson I've taken away from my beautiful, beautiful Masvingo, Victorville, Las Vegas, whichever way, people want to describe it.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Humility, respect for elders, listening before leading, and then success is not for you only, it's a community. Thank you very much. Amazing, amazing nuggets there. Adam.
Yeah, thank you. So sometimes I actually find myself being rejected by some of my Zimbabwean brothers because I'm identified as Nigerian. So probably over the years, I also learned to play between two cultures. But what I would say from the Zimbabwean culture, going back to the BBC, I think what I learned and also bring back is something about hosting, hospitality. I think as a community of Zimbabweans, really, we are quite good at it. And then from that hospitality, I think it translates in the way how we serve our patients in the workplace. For Moorfield, the way I've been, for some reason, I tend to meet more people, family and friends quite close to Moorfields in some cases. So there's something about hospitality. And similar to what Edwin said, respect for elders, which comes natural as part of that traits. And I think for sort of reflecting from where I've been and also that whole cultural influence, I think there's also these little things that we just sort of hold dearly, which we just constantly get reminded by colleagues. I can't say, soft spoken, but we sort of also hearing that, the way you speak it, the way you did this, are you X, Y, Z. So I think those are the things also that sort of put our the richness of our cultural context.
No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hospitality and hosting. Thank you so much for those nuggets. Patrick.
Yeah, I was still processing the fact that we've got Olga in the house, Olga Mapani. So
You're great.
yes. So for me, I shared at the start, going to a boarding school from a young age, I think meant that I have an abundance of resilience. And I think it's something that you don't really recognize quite early on, but you realize that this is where it comes from. Being quite adaptable to different environments, and there are times when I've gone home, and when you come back and you're sitting in a boardroom and you think, I'm not sure if you actually can process where I've just been. Now I was sitting in a roundhouse and sharing a meal with some of my elders, and here I am sitting in a boardroom. So sometimes being able to adapt to the different environments that we go into, which I don't think that some of my colleagues will be able to do. But I've also then recognized that we are unique in the way that we've got a breadth of lived experiences, whether that's in Zimbabwe or here. And when you use your lived experience with purpose, it's powerful.
Amazing, amazing. I think this is where I need us to learn from what you're just saying, Patrick, that Sometimes we forget our lived experiences because we are now in different offices. But we need to remember and use our lived experiences to make it easier for those that are coming after us. Thank you so much for that. Last but not least, Lorraine.
Thank you. So I think for me, it's two things, which I think are quite unique beyond, being respectful, more generally. So the first one, there's a calmness, I think, to our nature, more generally. I think that serves us well, but not one where people can just trample on, but one that can also sometimes be a bit cautious and calm and quiet, but is also formidable as well. And that's actually a unique skill to be able to do that. So I think I get that from being Zimbabwe. The second thing, and I think touching on what Patrick has said, is that ability, I think, to learn and adapt whatever environment we're on, even if it feels uncomfortable, giving due regard in the space that you're in. And a lot of people always feedback to me that actually Zimbabweans almost can fit everywhere and anywhere. And although some people can see that almost like, that's a weakness, you guys just adapt. I think it's actually quite a special skill that we have without losing who I am, without losing my heritage as well. And I should have confessed, if there are any Malawians in there, they're probably going to claim me as well, because I'm part Mnyasarand, by the way. And they sort of go on about, I've never been to Malawi, it's through my grandfather, but anyway, that's another story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We are so respectful. We are calculative. We can be calm, but we are cautious. And also we adapt. Those are some of the skills that we have, we bring to the table. That's why you think, okay, we are fitting, but one eye may be closed, but the other eye is watching. So be careful when you think, oh, we are not watching. We are. Thank you very much, Lorraine, for those. Now we are coming to the end. You have said a lot. So what we're just now doing is, what is your one takeaway or two, what you want to give to anyone who's on this platform, who's aspiring to do greatness, whichever sector they want to? What would be your takeaway message? And I want also you to also answer the second part to say, what next? What next from Lorraine? What next from Patrick? What next from Adam? What next from Edwin? So we are going to answer 6 and 7 at the same time, because of this session. We're going to go for 3 hours, 4 hours, but I'm conscious of that. So we'll start with Adam.
So I would say, do what you love and you love what you do. In making choices, career move, yes, career can be zigzag, but just keep this as a thought that you do what you love and you love what you do. And in answering 7, what's next? I think having kind of like been around and aligned to mentoring, sharing, and something that is also lying as a low-hanging fruit, I think it's just to look at wider impact in raising the generation of future leaders, something that is already in motion, supporting others, the development. Or I see quite a lot of colleagues on the platform from the IK world. So I think just sort of building on that, how we can further impact on leaders, and also something that is directly linked to patient care. So for example, I'm also looking for opportunities to pay back into the community that raised me in the BBC area.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we are hearing that there's more mentoring, more sharing that is going to come from Adam. Thank you very much. He owes us a lot. He's going to pay back. Thank you very much. I love what you said. Do what you love and love what you do. Thank you so much. Edwin, over to you. 5, 6, and 7.
6 and 7. Well, firstly, I'll start off, since this is kind of the running, isn't it? So just to say thank you as well, Brighton. This platform is for me, it's really important, because this is my own little bit of trying to give back to my community. So thank you for this platform and the opportunity you've given me to connect with so many of brothers and sisters here. So for me, the takeaways would be, number one, I think, firstly, master your craft. It's really important. And I'm building on what Adam has said and in advance of what Lorraine and Patrick was saying. It's really important to build on your craft, know your craft. The other bits about your personality and all that take you to the next world, but you got to master your craft, but never lose your humility. So don't edit yourself to fit in, be who you are. And, the final bit about looking ahead, well, I think, I would say, I mentioned earlier about trust, and I think, in terms of the next stages, I'm available, I'm here to support colleagues, but I have to say that it has to be based on trust. It's really important to me. And I've been a victim of people using my name to misrepresent or to impersonate me on Facebook. So I wanted to just say in this community that I would never ask for money from anyone to get access to me and to speak to me. And likewise, I would hope that if I'm giving you my time, you would also respect the fact that I'm giving you my time, and you would also kind of honor the fact that, for us to go far, we have to look after and protect each other, the community sense that I was talking about. Because I guess for me, my legacy would be that I hope I open more doors than I have walked through Brighton. I really hope I do that. And I really hope, I'm in the kind of afternoon of my life, and I hope that before I reach the evening, many young people will be saying that there was a guy who was here who opened the door and who paved the way for us, and we're following on for that, because I'm doing equally the same. They might not be in this country, they're in Zimbabwe, in Masvingo, but they're great people who have opened doors for me to be where I am. So I hope that I can do that, and I open even more doors than I have walked through.
Amazing, 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 amazing. Thank you so much, Edwin. And also, I think it's a shame that people take our names, our pictures, and they start abusing that online. But I think if we know Lorraine, if we know Patrick, we know Adam, we know Edwin, we know that there will not be, because there are something that these people will end up doing, which that no. It's just does not sound right. It smells. That's not Edwin, I know. So don't be gullible if people are using our leaders' names to try to defraud you, to try to do other things. We know our leaders, they wouldn't do such things. So we're just letting you know, because there are some people who just are out there to defraud people, which is so sad. But we are here to celebrate our leaders, what they're doing, and also the time that they've given us. This is 2 hours. They could be doing some other things. If we are there to charge us here, I think I will be working for the next 10 years to pay my leaders here. So thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much, Edwin. We go to Patrick.
Okay, thank you. So the first question, takeaways. So what I'll say is, I think if you want to be successful, you need to increase your rate of failure. People often are afraid to fail, not to get that job. They're afraid to be judged by others. But you have to go through that. And think about 3 things. Think about your performance, as Edwin and Adam have said. How do you show up at work in terms of your performance? Think about your image and your exposure as well. So that's about your networks, and your image is very much about what stories are people sharing about you in spaces that you don't occupy. So that's what I'll say on the first one. On the second one, in terms of looking ahead, I want to continue to support people, lifting others. And it's been amazing to have been doing that in the past few years. I want to continue to do that. And also looking for opportunities to be able to give back as well, back in Zim. So that's what I'll be looking forward to.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Increase the rate of your failure. We learn from from our failures. It's how we frame. What are we learning from this? What can I learn from this? Amazing. Thank you so much, Patrick. Now, Lorraine, you have the honors of closing these questions and giving us some nuggets.
Thank you, Brighton. And it's always really hard, particularly with my three brothers who've gone before me. So they've said quite a lot of really great stuff. And I just want to use this opportunity to say absolutely thank you for giving us the space. It's a real privilege being here. So for me, in terms of takeaway, there's something about we all want to progress. I know that. And, you know, some of us have been fortunate to be able to get to where we are. But there's something about how do you grow in your current role? How are you stretched and given opportunities, taking opportunities as well in your current role? You never know the opportunity that's coming or when it will come. Because sometimes I think people see a role, they fixate on it, or they imagine a fantasy role, which may never come. So if you fixate on a role, maybe it's not meant for you, or maybe that person won't leave. So there's something about being ever ready, but being ever ready means mentoring, coaching, being stretched, as Patrick said, making mistakes and absolutely learning from them, but above all, feedback. There's something about getting that feedback and learning to take, you might not agree with it, but there's something about hearing how other people see you. But for me, every role I've had, I've been stretched and I've been trusted to do things under supervision that have helped me in my next role, whether I knew it, what my next role would be as well. Looking ahead, impact do I still have? So a couple of things for me. First of all, we've got the 10-year plan that's just come out, and there's been quite a lot of happening in the NHS world. It's been a bit dramatic. However, God, what a time to be a leader, because you really could be pivotal in helping shape what we're all going to do in the next 10 years. So for me, there's something about grabbing that opportunity to be able to do that. There's then, so, you know, like my colleagues on the call, I do mentor and coach people from time to time. Some people just email me and ask me. And sadly, as my job has gotten bigger and the more responsibilities that I have, I can't always do it for everybody as well. Or if I do it, it's very time limited. So just to say, guys, sometimes it's quite tricky, you know, and I'll do that for free. I'll do evenings. I'll do some specific time as well. So for me, I'm really thinking about continuing spaces like this, because that way we can reach so many people at the same time. And I think it's quite impactful. And I've done that as well for people in Zimbabwe. And I'm working with someone to see how we can do that even further. We're lucky that in our trust, we work with Global Health Partnerships, which is THET in old money as well. And they've got something literally in Zimbabwe as well that we're doing. So we'll be also using that to influence. So for us, the tension is always, what can we do with our roles and our busy schedule, family lives, personal lives, do something that reaches more people? Because otherwise, within a year, sometimes I'll do 3 or 4 people at a time that I can mentor. I want to continue doing that, but it's about having a greater impact as well and reaching far more people as well. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Lorraine. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you so much, Edwin. What I've heard from you, Lorraine, it's better to be prepared and not have an opportunity than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. When you try to prepare, when an opportunity comes, it's too late. What I heard from what has been said here is be intentional. Growth does not happen accidentally. You need to know yourself in order to grow yourself. Today, we have been helped, mentored, educated. I would have asked people to contribute questions, but I think we have to agree that we have been watered, fed, and impacted. What I just want to ask now is in the chat box, I want you to thank these 4 leaders in whatever language you want. Tatenda, Zikomo, Dankyo, Mesubuku, any language that you want to thank them. Can we flood the comment section with any language? Tatotela, Tatenda, Siabonga, Kakulu. Let's just make. So leaders, I want you to read the comments, what people are saying in the that. Let's see what you are writing there. Tawonga, thank you. Siabonga, Bladgodari, thank you. Siabonga, thank you. Twalumba, thank you. Mazvita, Tinobonga, Gazendremberi. How can we get in touch with you? Come and pay me. Mazvita, thank you very much. Latent, thank you. Enkosia Bule. I think it will be a lie if I don't say. So I just want to ask Belinda and Abby to give us the closing word to thank our leaders. Abby and Belinda, please unmute yourself and help me to thank our leaders for a great session. This has been an amazing evening, and this is will go down in the history. The nuggets that we've been given by Adam, by Edwin, Patrick, and Lorraine. And I want to say, leaders, you should just go proud of yourself, because the nuggets that you've given people today, you have actually taken us into what you call masterclass of leadership, masterclass of life, and you have opened up, you have been vulnerable to us, and we don't take that for granted. You've taken your 2 hours and you've given to us. That is giving back to the community. Thank you so much. Is Abby or Belinda here?
I really don't know what to say after you just said that.
Okay.
Because that covers it all, really. But a truly amazing session, guys. To not say thank you, Horoi. And if you don't know what that means, it's witchcraft not to say thank you. It was an amazing session, so much to learn. I put in the chat, it's richness beyond books and beyond borders. So we appreciate you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much, Belinda. Thank you for those kind words. It just shows that Zikomo Kwambili, great leadership session. Thank you so much. Is Abby still here? Was gone? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So I just want to take this opportunity to say these leaders, they have not been paid to come here. These leaders have dedicated their time to be with us. And we just want to thank them and celebrate them. And your success, as you have said, is not individual, it's our success. We are proud of you. We will always be celebrating you. We wish you the best, and we want your names to be written. Lorraine, lead that organization, the 10-year plan. We want to be reading more about you. Patrick, go ahead, continue. Adam, continue, my brother. Edwin, amazing work you're doing. Continue. We are proud of you. But we have got a special request. We're going to be inviting you individually, one by one, because the nuggets that you've given us, we still want more to be mentored by you. And thank you so much. Without that, I just want to thank you, everyone who has been here. And I just want to thank the audience. You have been such a great audience. I have been on so many platforms whereby people are talking and muting, disturbing. But if we want to be honest, this has been one of the most well-behaved audience. No interruptions. People were absorbing, people were getting it, people were just amazing. And I just want to thank you. And you have stayed with us up to the we're still hitting 140, even up to 2 hours down the line. We went to 170, 180, and that just shows how popular leaders you are, and how people are thirsty for knowledge, and how people are happy to celebrate you. So thank you so much. May God bless you. May whatever you are planning to do be successful. We are here to support you. If you need anything from Doc BC support, we are here to support you. Thank you so much. I'm done.
I was just going to say, if anybody wants to be in a picture, please come on camera and I will take one.
Please take one, please. Let me remove this. Stop sharing. Yes, yes, yes. Okay.
I'm giving people a few seconds to come on camera if they want to.
Please, let's come on camera. This is history. Would
I
you
have to
have
take.
these 4 leaders with you on the same platform?
I have them on the same screen.
Yes.
Yes. Give me a second. I need to take a few because there's 3 pages.
Charlotte, thank you very much, Charlotte. Gabriela, not yet prepared. Open your phone, please.
Okay, I'm going to take. Are we ready?
Yes.
Right. Best smiles. Thank you. One taken. One taken. I'll come back just in case somebody else has come on screen while I was. Okay. Next one taken. Thank you, guys.
Where will
Thank
we
you.
see these pictures?
Doc BC. I
Put
will
them
put
on
them in the.
LinkedIn and also in the group. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so one other thing is follow Lorraine, follow Patrick, follow Adam, follow Edwin. They are on LinkedIn. Please follow them, engage with their posts, engage with what they are doing. Let's continue to celebrate them. Thank you. So if 100 people go and follow them right now, 100 people to Lorraine, 100 people to Patrick, 100 people to Edwin, 100 people to Adam, I'll be a happy man. Thank you so much for your time. We've come to the end of our session, and good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
very, very much. Much appreciated. Love.